Hello, I'm Chunjing. I'm a postdoctor from INRA and LSCE. My study focuses on northern peatlands and their role in the carbon cycle and climate change mitigation. Peatlands are a class of wetlands in waterlogged and usually acidic conditions, and over thousands of years, peatlands accumulated partially decomposed organic plant material and removed CO2 from the atmosphere. As you can see from the map, peatlands mainly located in the boreal and Arctic regions. While peatlands only cover about 3% of the land surface area, they store about 30% of global soil carbon, so they are the most space-effective land carbon pools. Natural peatlands are small but persistent carbon sinks. However, when peatlands are drained, water tables are lowered and organic soils are exposed to oxygen. Peat starts to decompose aerobically and leading to considerable CO2 emissions. On the other hand, while natural peatlands are source of methane, drainage could cause smaller amounts of methane emissions from peatlands. At present, natural peatlands are removing carbon from the atmosphere at a rate of 0.1 petagram per year. Projections under representative concentration pathway 2.6 and 8.5 scenario indicate a slight increase in the global natural peat carbon sink until the end of this century, and then a decrease in the sink is projected. From this figure, you can see that in both scenarios, the carbon sink of boreal and Arctic natural peatlands is projected to increase continuously in the future 300 years. However, peatlands in lower latitudes are projected to experience a decrease in carbon sequestration. At present, 10 to 15% of global peatland area is degraded, used for agriculture, forestry, and peat extraction, and they are emitting 2 petagram CO2 equivalent every year. This means that on only 0.3% of the global land surface, drained peatlands are contributing to 3 to 5% of all anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. If peatland conversion continues in the future, a decline in the annual greenhouse gas uptake of natural peatlands and a substantial increase in greenhouse gas emissions from drained peatlands are expected. Without rewetting measures and with continued peatland conversion, about 8 to 34% of the remaining global CO2 budget required to maintain the global temperature increase below 2 degrees C would be consumed by peatlands. Fortunately, widespread restoration of formerly drained peatlands through rewetting could substantially reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The blue shaded area in this plot shows that by protecting natural peatlands and rewetting drained peatlands, peatlands would consume only 1 to 5% of the global CO2 budget. By adding peatland into an integrated assessment model, a recent study showed that without dedicated peatland policy, and even in the case of peatland protection, the global land system would remain a net source of CO2 throughout the 21st century. This is due to the legacy of historic peatland conversion. However, in mitigation pathways with a peatland protection and restoration policy, the land system would turn into a global net carbon sink. These studies indicate that accurate estimate of carbon removing by natural peatlands and carbon emission by degraded peatlands are crucial for global carbon budget assessments and also crucial for informing land-based mitigation policy. To contribute to assessing the role of peatland in the global carbon cycle and in climate regulation, my research is to incorporate peatland dynamics into the OKD-mixed land surface model. OKD-mixed is the land component of the IPSL Earth system model. The processes included in the model include terrestrial water balance, energy balance, biogeochemical processes, and anthropogenic processes. In the model, peatlands are represented as independent soil tails in them. The natural peatland soil tail has a water table close to the surface because the bottom drainage is inhibited, and also thanks to the input of water from precipitation and from surrounding areas. In contrast, if peatland is reclaimed for cultivation, water in the bottom of the soil column is allowed to drain freely in the model, and this resulting in a deeper water table. The simulated carbon processes, including photosynthesis, carbon allocation, maintenance respiration, and growth respiration, litter and soil decomposition, and vegetation dynamics. In natural peatlands, decay is smaller than NPP in these waterlogged conditions. Thus, peat will be accumulated, and we use a downward transport of carbon to represent the accumulation of peat. When cultivated, carbon input to the soil is decreased due to harvest, and decomposition is enhanced by the aerobic conditions and by tillage. Thus, cultivated peatland will release carbon into the atmosphere. The model can also simulate the area dynamics of peatland. The simulation of natural peatland area dynamics is based on a cost-efficient top model, which gives an empirical relationship between grid-cell mean water table and inundation area fraction. OKD will first calculate a grid-cell mean water table position. Given this grid-cell mean water table and this empirical function from top model, the saturated area fraction can be calculated. Then the model checks flooding persistency of each grid cell, the summer water balance, and also the long-term carbon balance of peatland. And then the model will decide if the peatland area can expand or not. Then, by prescribing to the model annual maps of cropland areas, the conversion of natural peatlands to cropland can be simulated. There are 3 conversion scenarios. The max scenario assumes a maximum peatland conversion, with any increase of cropland area in a grid cell being taken from peatland. The mean scenario is a minimum peatland conversion scenario, which assumes that the increase in cropland area in a grid cell is given in priority over non-peatland areas. The control scenario assumes that the increase in cropland area is supplied proportionally from peatland and other vegetated areas. The model can broadly reproduce natural northern peatlands extent and soil organic carbon stocks, although there is an overestimation of peatland at the southeastern U.S. and there is an underestimation at the Hudson Bay lowland. The model projects that northern peatlands in the control scenario, which is the solid lines in this plot, natural northern peatland area decreased by 0.7 million square meter over the last millennium, and cultivated peatland area increased by 0.5 million square kilometer. The model estimates that northern peatlands converted to croplands emitted about 70 petagram carbon, and only half of this carbon has been captured by natural peatlands. In the future, an increase in the area of natural peatland is projected, with larger increase under RCP 2.6 than under RCP 6. But the result suggests a regional difference. Peatlands in the western Canada, southern, western, and part of northern Europe are predicted to shrink, while in the Asian part of Russia, peatlands are predicted to expand. Total NEP shows the carbon balance of northern peatlands. Here, from this plot, you can see that the total NEP of northern natural peatlands are predicted to increase to the middle of this century and then start to decrease, and RCP 2.6 predicts larger carbon sequestration by northern peatlands than RCP 6. To find more results and more information about the model, please refer to publications listed here. And here is my email address. If you have any question about this work, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.